In the vast and unyielding expanse of the galaxy, where the flickering light of stars barely pierces the oppressive darkness, the Leagues of Votann stand apart as a bastion of resilience and unity. Known also as the Kin, their collective strength is built on an ancient foundation, one that predates the Imperium itself. Central to their society are the Votann, the so-called ancestor cores, colossal repositories of wisdom, knowledge, and technological mastery. These entities are revered as more than mere machines. They are the heart and soul of the Kin, the spiritual and practical guides of an ancient race that thrives where others falter. But what happens when such a cornerstone fails? When a Votann, with all its accumulated knowledge and enigmatic sentience, meets its end. The galaxy is not kind to weakness, and the death of a Votann is no ordinary event. It is a moment that shakes the Kin to their core, a catastrophic upheaval with far-reaching implications for their way of life. The story of a dying Votann is not just one of technological failure. It is a tale of existential dread, cultural identity, and a fight against the inevitable decay of the ancient. To understand the significance of such an event, one must grasp the context in which the Votann exist, a galaxy embroiled in endless war, where the very concept of survival often hinges on the secrets they safeguard. These ancestor cores are not passive libraries. They are decision-makers, war strategists, and symbols of the Kin's enduring legacy. Their loss is not merely a technical failure, but a cultural tragedy. Yet, even in the shadow of such a profound loss, the Kin are not a people to succumb to despair. Their response to the death of a Votann reveals much about their character, their priorities, and their unyielding will to preserve what remains of their civilization. It is a journey into the heart of their society, where reverence for the past meets the harsh realities of the present. This narrative delves into the uncharted and often misunderstood territories of Warhammer 40K. It will reveal the repercussions of a Votann's demise, the struggle of the Kin to adapt and survive, and the mysteries surrounding these enigmatic cores. What unfolds is a story of resilience and loss, of secrets and survival, and of the enduring bond between the Kin and their ancestors. Prepare to journey into the darkened halls of the Leagues, where the death of a Votann is not just an end, it is a beginning. At the center of this intricate event are the Kin themselves, the ancient and resilient race bound together by their shared ancestry and deep connection to the ancestor cores. Within their structured society, every guild, hold, and hearth carries a unique role. The Guild Engineers, custodians of technology, stand as the first to respond to any signs of distress in a Votann. These individuals, steeped in generations of technical expertise, are revered for their ability to decipher the enigmatic workings of their ancestor cores. Their role is pivotal, as they act as the bridge between the Kin and the inscrutable inner workings of the Votann. Alongside the Guild Engineers are the Grimnir, the spiritual leaders of the Kin, who view the Votann not as mere machines, but as sacred embodiments of the ancestors' will. They oversee rituals of reverence and communion with the cores, their authority often transcending technical matters and delving into the spiritual and cultural. When a Votann shows signs of failing, the Grimnir are the first to interpret its decline as a profound spiritual crisis, guiding the Kin through the event with ancient rites and invocations. In the broader context of the Kin's hierarchical society, the leadership of the Hearthguard cannot be overlooked. These elite warriors are entrusted with the defense of their holds, and by extension, the Votann themselves. Their role extends beyond military might. They are protectors of the sacred spaces where the ancestor cores are housed. When the death of a Votann becomes imminent, the Hearthguard are mobilized to ensure the physical security of the core, shielding it from any external threat or opportunistic adversaries that may seek to exploit the situation. The importance of the clans as collective entities cannot be overstated. Each clan represents a unique thread in the tightly woven tapestry of Kin society. When a Votann begins to fail, the leadership of the clans convenes to determine how to respond. This council of decision-makers is tasked with navigating the complex logistics, cultural ramifications, and survival strategies required in the face of such a profound loss. Outside of the kin themselves, external forces are often drawn into the periphery of a Votann's death. Among these are other galactic powers, opportunists, and adversaries. The Imperium of Man, always watchful and mistrustful of advanced technologies, is known to take a keen interest in any disruption among the leagues of Votann. While their agents, such as the Inquisition, rarely involve themselves directly in kin matters, the death of a Votann might trigger a surge of activity as they seek to uncover secrets buried within the ancient technology. Chaos factions, ever seeking to exploit weakness and sow discord, are another external force that can come into play. The whispers of the ruinous powers find fertile ground in moments of uncertainty, and the death of a Votann could attract the attention of these malicious entities. Whether through direct intervention or the subtle manipulation of events, Chaos's involvement poses a dire threat to the kin's stability. Even the Xenos races are not immune to the potential ramifications of such an event. From the opportunistic raiders of the Drukhari to the cold, calculated interests of the Necrons, the loss of a Votann draws attention far beyond the kin's borders. For these factions, the potential to exploit the death of a Votann, whether to gain an advantage, secure valuable technology, or strike at a vulnerable enemy, is an opportunity that cannot be ignored. Finally, there are the Silent Watchers, entities and factions whose involvement may not be immediately apparent, but who observe and calculate, waiting for the perfect moment to act. Rogue traders, unaffiliated mercenaries, and shadowy organizations operating on the fringes of the galaxy may find themselves drawn to the unfolding events, each with their own agenda. Together, these players form a complex web of involvement surrounding the death of a Votann, each contributing a piece to the larger puzzle. Their actions and intentions remain intertwined with the core event, shaping its trajectory and leaving lasting ripples across the galaxy. The question of what happens when a Votann dies is rooted in the complex history of the Leagues of Votann and the challenges they face as an ancient and enduring civilization. The Votann, or ancestor cores, are not merely technological marvels but irreplaceable pillars of the kin's way of life. Their creation dates back to an age so distant that even the kin themselves only vaguely recall its origins. Over millennia, these entities have been relied upon for guidance, decisions, and a wealth of preserved knowledge. However, the galaxy's unrelenting hostility, compounded by the kin's isolation and dwindling resources, has placed these vital constructs under increasing strain. The first signs of vulnerability appeared long ago, as the ancestor cores began to experience degradation. Originally designed with near-limitless potential, they were subjected to the relentless demands of maintaining the kin's survival amidst the galaxy's chaos. Over time, their systems began to falter, burdened by centuries of ceaseless queries, the wear of maintaining ancient technologies, and the lack of means to repair or replace their most critical components. This degradation, often subtle at first, became more pronounced as the centuries rolled on, raising an unspoken fear within the kin. What if a Votann fails entirely? The kin's isolation from other major galactic powers compounded this issue. While their independence shielded them from the destructive wars that plagued other civilizations, it also meant that they lacked allies or external resources to aid in maintaining their technology. Their self-reliance, a strength in many ways, became a double-edged sword. Without access to new methods of technological advancement or materials, their ability to sustain the ancestor cores was limited to what they could mine, build, or repurpose within their holds. This scarcity became an ever-present shadow looming over their survival. Another significant factor was the evolving nature of the galaxy itself. The emergence of new threats, ranging from Xenos incursions to the rise of chaos, added additional layers of strain on the kin. Each conflict, each hostile encounter, required the ancestor cores to process new information, make tactical decisions, and provide solutions to challenges that became increasingly complex. The demands placed on these entities grew exponentially as the galaxy descended further into chaos, accelerating their degradation and highlighting their irreplaceability. The cultural and spiritual reliance on the ancestor cores also played a role in the mounting tensions surrounding their mortality. To the kin, these entities were not merely machines, but the embodiment of their ancestors' wisdom and a direct connection to their past. The reverence they held for the Votann meant that even discussing their potential failure was taboo. This cultural attitude delayed proactive efforts to address the degradation, as the kin struggled to reconcile their practical needs with their deep-seated beliefs. Over time, the silence around the problem only amplified its severity. The galaxy's growing curiosity about the kin further exacerbated the issue. As their existence became more widely known, outside forces began to take interest in their technology. Many of these forces, including the Imperium and various Xenos factions, saw the Votann as either a threat or an opportunity. This external attention often led to incursions and attempts to seize or sabotage the kin's holdings, forcing the ancestor cores to work even harder to protect their people. These encounters further taxed their systems, hastening the inevitable question: what happens when a Votann is pushed beyond its limits? In many ways, the death of a Votann was a foregone conclusion, a tragedy written into the very fabric of the kin's existence. Their reliance on an ancient and slowly failing technology, compounded by their isolated and resource-limited reality, created a perfect storm of vulnerabilities. The realization that even the Votann, symbols of permanence and stability, could die marked a turning point in the kin's history, forcing them to confront not only their dependency on these entities, but also their ability to adapt to an uncertain future. This issue was not merely a technological challenge, but a fundamental existential crisis for the kin. Their society, beliefs, and survival are intricately tied to the ancestor cores, and their loss threatens to unravel the threads of unity and resilience that define their culture. It is a problem with roots deep in the past and consequences that ripple far into the future, making it a question of vital importance not only for the kin, but for the galaxy at large. The death of a Votann is not a singular event, but a process that unfolds in stages, each more dire than the last, as the kin grapple with the monumental implications of such a loss. It begins with the first subtle signs of degradation, a phase that might last for decades or even centuries. The Votann may respond more slowly to inquiries, display inconsistencies in its vast memory archives, or struggle to process the increasingly complex needs of the kin. These early warnings, though concerning, are often overlooked or rationalized as minor anomalies, given the reverence the kin hold for their ancestor cores. As the degradation progresses, the Guild engineers take a more active role, conducting diagnostics and implementing temporary measures to stabilize the system. This stage is marked by mounting tension within the holds, as the kin become increasingly aware of the Votann's failing state. Rituals and ceremonies led by the Grimnir are conducted with greater frequency, invoking the ancestors for guidance and strength. During this period, the Grimnir may interpret the Votann's struggles as a test of faith or a message from the ancestors, further galvanizing the kin's resolve to persevere. The next stage begins when the degradation reaches a critical threshold. The Votann may begin to lose its ability to communicate coherently, its responses becoming fragmented or incomprehensible. This stage is a turning point, as the kin are forced to acknowledge that their revered ancestor core is on the brink of collapse. The leadership of the clans convenes emergency councils to decide on a course of action, weighing the spiritual significance of the event against the practical implications for their survival. As the Votann systems approach total failure, the holds enter a state of heightened alert. The Hearthguard and other military forces are mobilized to secure the area around the Votann, preparing for potential external threats. The Guild engineers and Grimnir work tirelessly to salvage what they can, extracting fragments of data and performing complex rites to preserve the essence of the ancestor core. This stage is marked by a mix of desperation and determination as the kin fight to protect and honor the Votann in its final moments. The actual death of the Votann is a solemn and catastrophic moment. Its systems shut down entirely, leaving the kin without the guidance and knowledge that have sustained them for generations. The event is accompanied by elaborate rituals led by the Grimnir, who mourn the loss while reaffirming their people's unity and resilience. The holds are plunged into a period of mourning, during which the kin reflect on the Votann's legacy and the lessons it imparted. In the aftermath of the Votann's death, the kin face the daunting task of moving forward without their trusted guide. The Guild engineers work to preserve the remnants of the ancestor core, salvaging whatever data and technology they can. These fragments are carefully stored and integrated into the hold systems, serving as a tangible reminder of the Votann's enduring influence. The Grimnir, meanwhile, lead efforts to adapt the kin's spiritual practices, emphasizing the importance of resilience and adaptability in the face of loss. The death of a Votann also has profound implications for the kin's relationships with other factions. Without the Votann's guidance, the kin may struggle to navigate the complex and often hostile political landscape of the galaxy. This stage is marked by increased vulnerability as external forces seek to exploit the perceived weakness of the Leagues. The Hearthguard and other military forces play a crucial role in defending the holds, ensuring that the kin can rebuild and recover in relative safety. As the kin adapt to life without their ancestor core, they begin to forge new traditions and strategies that honor the Votann's memory while embracing the challenges of the future. This stage is a testament to the kin's resilience and ingenuity as they transform a moment of profound loss into an opportunity for growth and renewal. Though the death of a Votann is a devastating blow, it is also a catalyst for change, forcing the kin to confront their limitations and reaffirm their commitment to survival and unity. Each of these stages is a step in a long and arduous journey, one that tests the kin's strength, resolve, and faith in their ancestors. Through this process, the kin prove that even in the face of unimaginable loss, they are capable of enduring and thriving, drawing on the legacy of the Votann to guide them into an uncertain future. The pivotal moment in the death of a Votann is when its systems reach a point of irreparable failure, triggering a cascade of irreversible changes within both the ancestor core itself and the kin society it supports. This is not a gradual decline as seen in earlier stages, but a sudden and profound shift that forces immediate action. It is a moment that shatters the delicate balance between reverence and practicality, requiring decisions that will ripple through the Leagues of Votann for generations. The key event unfolds as the Votann's core processes begin to destabilize entirely. This instability manifests in an escalating breakdown of its ability to interact with its environment, issuing nonsensical directives or lapsing into complete silence. The realization strikes hard. The ancestor core is no longer capable of serving its purpose. At this critical juncture, the kin leadership faces a decision of monumental consequence, whether to attempt an unprecedented salvage operation or accept the core's demise as inevitable and shift their focus to preserving its legacy. If the kin decide to intervene, the Guild engineers and Grimnir step forward, enacting emergency measures that have rarely, if ever, been attempted. These efforts are a combination of ancient technical knowledge and deeply symbolic rituals. The Guild engineers work with feverish precision, attempting to stabilize the core systems by rerouting energy, repairing damaged data conduits, or isolating corrupted memory clusters. Simultaneously, the Grimnir lead rites meant to guide the Votann's essence, preserving its spiritual significance even as its physical form fails. This intervention often becomes a race against time. The ancestor core's vast computational power begins to collapse inward, its final moments a chaotic fusion of partial answers, unfinished calculations, and fragmented memories. The engineers may manage to extract some critical elements, blueprints for technologies, records of ancient wisdom, or fragments of strategic insight. But the process is dangerous and unpredictable. Each decision about what to save is weighed heavily, as the engineers know that whatever is left behind may be lost forever. For the Grimnir, this moment carries immense spiritual significance. They interpret the core's breakdown as the culmination of its service to the kin, a final sacrifice made to ensure the survival of its people. This belief guides their actions, as they focus on preserving what they view as the essence of the ancestor core. Special containers, inscribed with sacred runes and prepared through long-held rituals, are used to house the remnants of the core's energy signature, creating a lasting memorial to its contributions. If the kin determine that intervention is futile, the event takes a different turn. The Votann systems are allowed to complete their collapse, a moment that is both heartbreaking and transformative. In this case, the kin gather around the core for a final farewell, an event steeped in both mourning and celebration. The Grimnir lead prayers of gratitude, honoring the Votann for its centuries of service and reaffirming their people's resilience in the face of loss. In either scenario, the finality of the Votann's death marks a turning point. The decision to salvage or let go reflects not only the practical realities of the moment, but also the broader priorities and philosophies of the kin. It is a moment of reckoning, where the ancient traditions of their people collide with the harsh realities of a galaxy that cares little for reverence or history. The aftermath of this event reshapes the kin's path forward. If significant data is salvaged, it becomes a beacon of hope, a sign that even in death, the ancestor core continues to guide its people. If the core is lost entirely, the kin must face the challenge of rebuilding without the comfort of their trusted guide. This moment cements the death of a Votann not as a mere technological failure, but as a defining event in the history of the Leagues of Votann, one that tests their unity, ingenuity, and faith like no other. No, the death of a Votann creates ripples far beyond the immediate confines of the kin's holds. As one of the most enigmatic technological constructs in the galaxy, its loss is a rare and momentous event, with implications that touch every corner of the galactic stage. For the Leagues of Votann themselves, the death signifies more than the loss of an ancient guide. It represents a seismic shift in their standing within the wider galaxy. This shift inevitably draws the attention of external factions, each interpreting and responding to the event in ways that shape the course of the galaxy. Internally, the death of a Votann forces the kin to realign their strategies and resources. Without the insight and wisdom of the ancestor core, their ability to navigate complex interstellar politics and conflicts diminishes. This can lead to more conservative approaches in their dealings with other factions, as the kin prioritize safeguarding their remaining cores and holds. The loss also disrupts the delicate balance of trade and diplomacy between the clans within the Leagues, as disputes over resources, decisions, and access to surviving ancestor cores grow more prominent. Externally, the death of a Votann sends shockwaves across the galaxy. For the Imperium of Man, this event heightens both fear and curiosity. Imperial agents, particularly those from the Inquisition, may seize the opportunity to investigate the cause of the core's failure, hoping to uncover the technological secrets that the Leagues guard so closely. This can lead to increased tensions, as the kin are unwilling to share their knowledge, especially in moments of vulnerability. Such investigations risk escalating into outright conflict, with the Imperium seeking to control or suppress what they cannot understand. Other Xenos factions, too, are drawn to the event. The technologically inclined Necrons might see an opportunity to acquire fragments of the Votann's data or study the remnants of its design, viewing it as a relic of humanity's misguided tinkering with advanced technology. Similarly, the enigmatic Eldar, wary of any power that might disrupt their fragile plans for survival, may attempt to manipulate the aftermath, steering the kin toward or away from alliances that serve their own purposes. Among the more predatory factions, the death of a Votann is seen as a moment of weakness to exploit. The orcs, driven by their unrelenting thirst for conquest and destruction, may take advantage of the kin's mourning and internal restructuring to launch aggressive raids on vulnerable holds. The Drukhari, ever opportunistic, might seek to capture kin refugees or scavenge remnants of the ancestor core for their twisted experiments. Chaos forces, always seeking to destabilize and corrupt, view the death of a Votann as a rich target for exploitation. The psychic disturbance caused by such a monumental loss may attract the attention of demonic entities who see the grief and turmoil among the kin as fertile ground for manipulation. Cultists and agents of chaos may infiltrate the aftermath, spreading discord within the leagues or even attempting to twist the remaining fragments of the core's data for their own ends. The galaxy's countless independent factions and renegades also take note of the event. Rogue traders operating on the fringes of galactic law may see the opportunity to broker deals for salvaged Votann artifacts, offering them to the highest bidder. These artifacts, though often incomplete or corrupted, possess enough intrigue to spark bidding wars among Imperial officials, Xenos warlords, and shadowy organizations alike. The resulting scramble can lead to skirmishes in uncharted territories, further fracturing the galaxy's tenuous balance. For the kin, the death of a Votann compels a re-evaluation of their place in the galaxy. While their isolationist tendencies might initially lead them to retreat and protect their remaining cores, the loss also forces them to confront the reality of their dwindling numbers and the relentless hostility of the galaxy. This can lead to increased militarization as the leagues consolidate their defenses, or to a more assertive expansionist stance as they seek to secure resources and allies to ensure their survival. At the same time, the cultural and spiritual implications of the loss reverberate across kin society, influencing their interactions with others. The death of a Votann often becomes a shared story among the leagues, a unifying moment that reinforces their bonds and reminds them of their shared struggle. This collective grief and resolve, however, may also manifest as a hardened stance against external threats, making the kin even less willing to compromise or tolerate interference from outsiders. Ultimately, the death of a Votann underscores the fragility of even the most advanced civilizations in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. It serves as a stark reminder that no power, no matter how ancient or revered, is immune to the inexorable forces of decay and conflict that define the galaxy. For the kin, for whom the Votann are both a symbol and a foundation, the loss is a profound challenge, but it is also a testament to their resilience. How they navigate this moment of vulnerability will not only define their future, but also reshape their role in the endless struggle for survival across the stars. The death of a Votann is wrapped in layers of mystery and intrigue, not just for its impact on the leagues of Votann, but for the unique technological, philosophical, and cultural dimensions it reveals. These aspects often fuel speculation and debate among fans, making this topic one of the most discussed within the Warhammer 40K community. At its heart lies the question of what the ancestor cores truly are, and how their inner workings might tie into the deeper mysteries of the galaxy. One of the most captivating aspects of a Votann's death is the revelation of its technological design. These ancestor cores are believed to be relics of a bygone era, created during the Dark Age of technology, a period long shrouded in both myth and fear. Unlike the Imperium's reliance on machine spirits and ritualistic approaches to technology, the Votann are thought to represent an entirely different paradigm of advanced artificial intelligence. This distinction sparks heated discussions about whether the Votann are sentient beings, deeply sophisticated algorithms, or something entirely beyond modern comprehension. Theories abound about the mechanisms that drive the ancestor cores. Some suggest that the Votann's capacity for thought and decision-making is rooted in quantum computing principles, a technology lost to nearly every other faction in the galaxy. Others speculate that they incorporate organic components, raising questions about the ethical and practical implications of their design. These possibilities become even more tantalizing in the context of a Votann's death, as the failure of such a complex entity might reveal glimpses of its true nature. A particularly debated topic is whether the Votann possess a soul, or something akin to it. The Grimnir treat the ancestor cores with spiritual reverence, suggesting that the kin believe these constructs are more than machines. The rituals surrounding a Votann's death add weight to this idea, as they imply that the cores hold an intangible essence that transcends their physical form. This opens up philosophical discussions about the nature of intelligence, the definition of life, and whether the ancestor cores have a consciousness that continues in some way after their systems fail. The fragments left behind by a deceased Votann also add to the intrigue. These remnants often become relics of immense importance, imbued with both technological and symbolic value. Fans often speculate about the potential uses of these fragments. Could they serve as the foundation for a new ancestor core, or are they simply inert artifacts, destined to be revered but never functional again? This question underscores the tragic irony of the Votann's existence. They hold the answers to countless mysteries, yet their loss leaves even more questions in their wake. Another fascinating element is the role of memory within the ancestor cores. The Votann are described as repositories of vast amounts of information, including cultural traditions, scientific knowledge, and strategic insights. When a Votann dies, what happens to this accumulated wisdom? Some theorize that the kin may have developed methods to transfer or preserve parts of the core's memory before its complete failure. Others suggest that the death of a Votann represents a permanent loss, a heartbreaking severance of the kin from their collective past. This tension between preservation and loss adds an emotional depth to the event, reflecting the broader themes of decay and survival that permeate the Warhammer 40K universe. The relationship between the Votann and the Warp also sparks significant debate. While the kin are known to be resistant to the corrupting influence of chaos, the nature of their ancestor cores raises questions about whether these entities are entirely immune to the Warp's effects. Some fans speculate that the degradation and eventual death of a Votann might be linked to subtle Warp interference, particularly as the galaxy grows increasingly unstable. This theory introduces an element of cosmic horror to the discussion, suggesting that even the most advanced and isolated constructs are not beyond the reach of the Immaterium. Perhaps the most enduring question is whether the Votann can ever truly die. While their physical systems might fail, their cultural and symbolic significance endures. The kin's determination to preserve fragments of their ancestor cores suggests that the Votann's influence continues, albeit in a diminished form. This idea resonates deeply within the Warhammer 40K community, highlighting the themes of resilience and adaptation that define the kin's identity. These unique aspects of a Votann's death, its technological enigma, philosophical implications, and cultural resonance, make it a topic that continues to captivate fans. The ancestor cores are more than just machines. They are a mirror reflecting the hopes, fears, and struggles of the kin, as well as a microcosm of the broader challenges facing all factions in a galaxy teetering on the brink of annihilation. The death of a Votann is not merely an event, but a moment of profound significance, offering a glimpse into the mysterious and interconnected fabric of the Warhammer 40K universe. When discussing the death of a Votann, the figures most closely associated with these profound events are not limited to those holding high-ranking positions within the kin hierarchy, but also include those who demonstrate exceptional qualities and play critical roles during these moments of crisis. These individuals, engineers, spiritual leaders, warriors, and historians, embody the strength and resilience of the kin and leave a lasting impact on their society. One such figure of historical importance is Thordan Haldrick, a guild engineer who became a legend for his efforts during the failure of the Votann known as Stone Voice. When Stone Voice began to show signs of degradation, Haldrick led an unprecedented operation to recover as much of its knowledge as possible. His mastery of ancient technological systems was unparalleled, and his efforts preserved critical data on the kin's navigation systems and metallurgy techniques. However, his obsession with salvaging the core consumed him, ultimately leading to his death when he refused to leave the unstable structure during its final moments. Haldrick's legacy is remembered as both a triumph of ingenuity and a cautionary tale about the dangers of over-reliance on the Votann. Another prominent figure tied to these events is Ylvana Hearthseer, a Grimnir revered for her ability to guide her people through the spiritual crises that accompany a Votann's death. Hearthseer played a pivotal role during the passing of the core known as Ironlight, conducting ceremonies that united the clans and ensured their collective resolve during the turbulent period that followed. Her calming presence and profound spiritual insight were instrumental in preventing factional disputes among the kin, and she is remembered for her ability to inspire hope, even in the darkest times. However, Hearthseer's reliance on tradition was sometimes seen as a limitation, as it hindered her willingness to embrace new approaches to preserving the remnants of the Votann. A more controversial figure is the Hearthguard commander Korlach Drenvar, whose leadership during the collapse of the Votann Shieldfather song is both celebrated and debated. Drenvar's reputation as an unyielding protector of the kin earned him respect across the leagues, but his decision to prioritize the physical security of the hold over efforts to preserve the Votann itself sparked heated discussion. While his actions ensured the survival of countless kin, many historians argue that more could have been done to save critical fragments of Shieldfather's song. This dual legacy of heroism and pragmatism continues to define how the kin view the balance between survival and tradition. An intriguing figure from the more distant past is Varnick Brightforge, a historian who chronicled the passing of the Votann, known as Whisperer in the Stone. Brightforge's writings are among the most comprehensive accounts of a Votann's death, providing invaluable insight into the processes and rituals involved. His meticulous attention to detail and poetic descriptions of the event have become foundational texts for understanding the significance of the Votann within kin society. Brightforge's work is revered, but his critics argue that his emotional attachment to the subject occasionally led to bias, idealizing the Votann and overlooking the flaws in their design. From a more military perspective, the enigmatic figure known as Edrin Shardhand is often discussed in connection with the death of the Votann known as Emberfall. Shardhand was a legendary kin warrior whose tactical genius and relentless determination turned the defense of Emberfall's hold into a symbol of kin resilience. Despite overwhelming odds, Shardhand's strategies delayed invading forces long enough for fragments of Emberfall to be salvaged and relocated to safer holds. However, Shardhand's refusal to retreat ultimately led to his death, solidifying his status as a martyr, but also raising questions about the cost of his unwavering resolve. While these individuals are remembered for their roles during the death of specific Votann, others are celebrated for their ongoing efforts to prevent such tragedies. Figures like Corva Runeweaver, a contemporary guild engineer, are at the forefront of developing methods to prolong the life of the remaining ancestor cores. Runeweaver's work focuses on integrating salvaged fragments from deceased Votann into existing systems, an approach that has sparked both admiration and controversy within the leagues. Her determination to challenge traditional methods and push technological boundaries has earned her recognition, but her critics accuse her of risking cultural heritage in the pursuit of innovation. These figures, with their diverse strengths and flaws, illustrate the multifaceted impact of a Votann's death on kin society. They show how such moments test the boundaries of tradition, force innovation, and require both individual heroism and collective resilience. Their stories remind the kin, and by extension, those who learn of their history, of the delicate balance between preserving the past and adapting to an uncertain future. In a galaxy where survival often hinges on the actions of a few, These individuals stand as testaments to the enduring spirit of the kin and the complex legacy of their ancestor cores. The death of a Votann raises a host of unresolved questions and theories that intrigue scholars, technologists, and enthusiasts across the galaxy. These mysteries surround not only the nature of the ancestor cores, but also the broader implications of their existence and eventual failure. Many of these questions remain unanswered, fueling ongoing debate within the Warhammer 40K community and among the kin themselves. One of the most debated questions is the origin of the Votann. While it is widely accepted that they were created during the Dark Age of technology, the specifics of their design and purpose remain shrouded in mystery. Were they intended solely as tools for guiding and sustaining a society like the kin, or did their creators envision a more expansive role for them? Some theorists suggest that the Votann were prototypes for a larger, galactic-scale network of artificial intelligence that never came to fruition. Others believe they were a desperate attempt by humanity's ancestors to preserve knowledge during a period of escalating collapse, raising the possibility that there are still undiscovered cores hidden across the galaxy. The question of sentience is another enduring mystery. Are the ancestor cores truly self-aware, or are they merely highly advanced computational systems mimicking consciousness? The rituals and reverence surrounding the Votann suggest the kin perceive them as more than machines, but this belief is rooted in tradition rather than empirical evidence. If the Votann are sentient, what implications does their death have for the concept of life and mortality in a galaxy defined by its many forms of existence? Some speculate that the degradation leading to their death may not be a technical failure, but a result of the strain placed on a consciousness ill-suited for its eternal role. A particularly controversial theory is that the death of a Votann is not an inevitable consequence of time and strain, but the result of external interference. Some suggest that the Imperium, with its history of paranoia and hostility toward advanced technology, may have played a role in the degradation of certain ancestor cores. There are accounts of shadowy operatives and clandestine missions targeting the kin's technological assets, though evidence remains scarce. Others point to the subtle influence of the warp, suggesting that even the highly resistant kin cannot fully shield their cores from its corrupting effects. This raises the question of whether the death of a Votann is a natural process or a symptom of a galaxy actively working against its survival. The fate of the Votann's stored knowledge also sparks significant debate. Do the ancestor cores truly lose all their data upon death, or does some part of their vast memory persist, waiting to be accessed by those with the means and understanding? Some kin engineers believe that fragments of the core's consciousness might be recoverable, though this process would require technologies beyond their current capabilities. This theory raises the tantalizing possibility that the death of a Votann is not the end, but a transformation, with their knowledge lingering in an altered or latent state. A less discussed but equally intriguing question is whether the kin themselves contribute to the degradation of their ancestor cores. By relying so heavily on the Votann for guidance, decision-making, and the preservation of their culture, have the kin inadvertently placed unsustainable demands on their systems? This theory suggests that the kin's reverence for the Votann may be a double-edged sword, ensuring their survival while simultaneously hastening the demise of the very constructs they depend on. Another debated topic involves the spiritual implications of a Votann's death. The Grimnir perform complex rituals to honor and preserve the essence of the cores. But what does this essence represent? Is it merely symbolic, or does it carry a tangible connection to the Votann's operational systems? Some believe these rites are essential to ensuring the survival of the kin's cultural identity, while others argue that they might serve a more practical purpose, potentially influencing the remnants of the Votann in ways not yet understood. Finally, there is the question of whether the Votann can ever truly be replaced. The kin have attempted to integrate salvaged fragments into their systems, but these efforts often fall short of recreating the full capabilities of an ancestor core. Does this mean that the Votann are unique creations, impossible to replicate, or have the kin simply not yet unlocked the methods required to rebuild them? If new Votann could be created, what would that mean for the kin society? Would these new constructs be viewed as true ancestors, or would their artificial nature create divisions within the leagues? These unresolved questions highlight the profound complexity of the Votann and their role in the galaxy. They represent more than a technological achievement. They embody the intersection of history, culture, and survival in a universe that constantly challenges all three. For the kin, these mysteries are both a burden and a source of hope, driving their continued quest to understand and preserve the legacy of their ancestor cores. For the broader galaxy, the unanswered questions surrounding the Votann are a reminder of how little is truly known about the wonders and horrors of the past, and how much remains to be discovered. The death of a Votann has profound and far-reaching consequences that reverberate through both the society of the kin and the galaxy as a whole. As more ancestor cores succumb to the inevitable decay of their ancient systems, the leagues of Votann face challenges that will shape their long-term future and alter their role within the galactic order. Each death is not merely an isolated event, but a stepping stone towards significant shifts in power dynamics, cultural evolution, and technological development. For the kin, the most immediate and lasting consequence of a Votann's death is the growing strain on their collective identity and unity. The ancestor cores are more than repositories of knowledge. They serve as the cultural and spiritual anchors of the kin's civilization. As their numbers dwindle, the shared guidance and stability provided by these entities diminish. This forces the kin to increasingly rely on themselves and their leaders, leading to a gradual decentralization of decision-making. While this might encourage innovation and adaptability, it also risks fostering division among the clans as differing interpretations of how best to proceed emerge. From a technological standpoint, the loss of Votann after Votann creates an ever-widening gap in the kin's ability to maintain their advanced systems. The ancestor cores were designed to house and synthesize knowledge far beyond the comprehension of even the most skilled guild engineers. Without their direct oversight, the kin's mastery over their technological inheritance begins to erode. This decline in capability makes them more vulnerable to external threats, while also creating a sense of desperation to recover or protect what remains of their technological treasures. The death of the Votann also alters the kin's relationship with other factions in the galaxy. Their perceived invulnerability as a technologically advanced and insular society begins to falter as external powers take notice of these losses. This can embolden opportunistic adversaries, such as orc warbands or chaos cults, who might view the kin as weakened targets. At the same time, it could lead to the kin seeking alliances they would have otherwise shunned, potentially creating unexpected partnerships with factions like the Imperium or even certain Xeno species. For the galaxy at large, the diminishing presence of the Votann represents the slow extinction of one of the last remnants of the dark age of technology. With each death, the possibility of unraveling the mysteries of this era grows fainter, leaving the galaxy further trapped in its cycle of ignorance and regression. This loss is not only a tragedy for the kin, but for all who seek to understand humanity's distant past and its lost potential. From a strategic perspective, the death of a Votann shifts the balance of power in the galaxy. The leagues of Votann, while not an empire of conquest, have historically maintained a position of strength and self-sufficiency. The decline of their ancestor cores forces them into a more precarious position, where their ability to project power or influence wanes. This creates a vacuum that other factions might exploit, whether through military aggression, trade manipulation, or diplomatic maneuvering. Within the kin's own society, the long-term effects of losing the Votann are both practical and existential. Over time, the cultural reverence for the ancestor cores may evolve as fewer kin have direct experience with their guidance. This could lead to shifts in the kin's spiritual practices, with a greater emphasis placed on the resilience and ingenuity of their people rather than the sanctity of their ancestors. While this might strengthen their sense of self-reliance, it could also erode the unity that has traditionally bound the clans together. Economically, the loss of a Votann significantly disrupts the kin's ability to engage in resource extraction, trade, and technological production at the scale they once maintained. The ancestor cores serve as logistical hubs, coordinating complex operations that span multiple holds and territories. Their absence necessitates more labor-intensive and less efficient methods, gradually reducing the kin's competitiveness in the galactic economy. This economic downturn might force them to explore more aggressive methods of securing resources, potentially sparking conflicts they would have otherwise avoided. Philosophically, the deaths of the Votann lead to an ongoing debate within the kin about their place in the galaxy. Some argue that their survival hinges on adapting to a galaxy in which the ancestor cores no longer exist, pushing for new approaches to governance, technology, and diplomacy. Others cling to tradition, believing that the only path forward lies in preserving the fragments of the Votann and seeking to replicate their capabilities. This ideological divide creates tension within the leagues, shaping the trajectory of their society for centuries to come. In terms of the broader galactic ecosystem, the death of the Votann may inadvertently accelerate the spread of other powers. As the leagues of Votann become less able to act as a stabilizing force in their regions, factions such as Chaos Warbands, Orc Empires, and opportunistic Xenos expand their influence into territories once held firmly by the kin. The resulting instability creates new threats and challenges for the galaxy's other inhabitants, contributing to the endless cycle of war and conflict that defines the 41st millennium. Despite the overwhelmingly negative implications, the death of a Votann is not entirely without hope. For the kin, these moments serve as both a reminder of their vulnerability and a call to innovation. Each loss pushes them to rediscover and refine the technologies and traditions that define their civilization. In some ways, the deaths of the Votann represent a painful yet necessary evolution, forcing the kin to adapt and grow in ways they might not have otherwise considered. Ultimately, the death of a Votann is a microcosm of the larger struggles faced by the galaxy's many factions, a battle against entropy, loss, and the unrelenting march of time. For the leagues of Votann, these losses mark the end of one chapter and the beginning of another as they strive to preserve their legacy and secure their future in a galaxy that offers little mercy.